Have you ever felt heaven trying to reach you? A sudden chill on your skin. A voice in your heart whispering, "Pay attention, this is for you." This moment right now is one of those divine interruptions. Archangel Michael says, God is speaking through this message right now. Do not scroll away. Do not delay. Heaven is calling your name, and missing this word would mean turning away from what you've been praying for. Type 1111 in the comments if your spirit already feels that pull inside. That number is your confirmation that this message is meant for you. Because today, 21st October, is not just another date on the calendar. It's a divine checkpoint in your story. A moment when the angels gather and the heavens open to decide who truly listens and who walks away unchanged. Michael says, "Child of light, if you skip what heaven has placed before you, you will lose the very presence that has been guiding you. Not because heaven is angry, but because your doubt shuts the door. Beloved, God is not warning you to scare you. He's pleading with love to keep you awake in spirit. You've been drifting. You've been distracted by noise, by fear, by people who don't carry your promise. And heaven is saying, return. If you feel tears, peace, or warmth right now, it's not emotion, it's confirmation. Because the Spirit of truth moves through peace, not panic. Type 777 in the comments if you receive that truth. Listen, this is not a coincidence. Today, you were led here because Jesus himself is fighting for your attention. He says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Jeremiah 29:13, that verse is alive right now. It's vibrating through your timeline. It's echoing through your heart. Heaven is giving you one clear instruction. Don't ignore this call, because the enemy has been trying to convince you that your prayers no longer matter, that nothing's changing, that God has forgotten. But Archangel Michael was sent to crush that lie. He stands beside you with his sword of fire, cutting away confusion, fear, and delay. He's saying, heaven is not silent. You just stopped listening. Breathe, dear one. Feel that stillness. That's not emptiness. That's the presence of Jesus drawing close. You were meant to hear this before midnight. You were meant to feel this before you gave up. And if you're still here, heaven counts you as chosen. Michael says, the reason this message feels heavy is because destiny is at stake. What you decide after hearing this will shape the next season of your life. So here is what heaven wants you to know. You are standing between breakthrough and breakdown, between faith and fatigue. And this is your divine rescue. God is not done with you. He's about to prove that obedience attracts miracles faster than desperation ever will. Type yes, Lord, if you choose obedience. Type I receive if your spirit is saying, I will not lose this moment, because Michael and Jesus are both interceding for you right now. One defends you in the heavens, the other redeems you on earth. They work together as one voice, one mission to protect your destiny. But heaven says, if you turn away again, if you silence your conviction once more, you will lose both of us, not because we abandon you, but because your heart chooses distance. Beloved, when you ignore divine nudges, the light fades, not by punishment, but by neglect. Every time you postpone prayer, every time you numb your intuition, the connection weakens. And heaven weeps, because your miracle is always one yes away. So today, 21st October, the heavens issue a final reminder. Choose light over comfort. Choose faith over logic. Choose presence over distraction, because something extraordinary is about to happen in your life. But only if you remain aligned, only if you don't scroll away. You've been seeing the same numbers repeatedly. 1111, 333, 777. Those are not random, they are heaven's alarms. Each number whispers, stay awake, your moment is near. Michael says, when you see these signs, speak life immediately. Declare, I will not lose my divine connection. Go ahead, type that in the comments right now. I will not lose my divine connection, because your words carry creation power. When you speak faith, the angels move faster. When you doubt, they pause, waiting for your permission to act again. And right now, heaven is ready to act. The Lord is saying, I have heard your midnight prayers. I have seen your silent tears. But your obedience will open what emotion cannot. Child of faith, you've asked for signs. You've asked for confirmation. This is it. This message is the sign you prayed for last night when you said, God, if you're still with me, give me a word. And now heaven responds, yes, I'm with you. But don't skip the steps that secure my presence, Michael adds. When you honor divine timing, delays turn into direction. But when you rush ahead, blessings collapse under the weight of impatience. Feel that conviction. That's love correcting you before loss comes. Heaven is about to restore what you thought was gone. A relationship you released in pain. A door that closed unfairly. A dream that seemed buried. God says, watch me breathe life where you saw death. But first you must return, fully, completely, boldly, to His presence. Because miracles are location-based. They dwell where obedience lives. Type I am returning in the comments. That declaration opens the next gate of favor. Michael says, when you confess, return, we secure protection. Your angels have been battling in unseen realms to block accidents, betrayal, and sudden losses. Every prayer you almost prayed still stands before the throne, waiting for your voice to activate it again. Don't stop now. Don't let distraction steal destiny. The one who walks away from divine reminders loses light, not because the light disappears, but because their eyes adjust to darkness. Beloved, this message carries heavenly weight. It's not entertainment, it's alignment. The next 7 days are prophetic, 7 days of divine testing. Heaven will whisper instructions, small steps, quick nudges, divine delays that make no sense. Follow each one. Obedience will unlock the breakthrough you've been fasting for. Archangel Michael stands ready with the scroll of your next assignment. Jesus holds the key to your next open door. Both are waiting for one thing, your yes, so do not skip this word. Do not say, I'll watch later. Later will cost you presence. Presence carries protection, and protection carries promise. Right now, whisper it. Lord, I choose you again. Say it aloud. Archangel Michael, guide me back into divine order. Feel that warmth on your shoulders. That's not imagination. That's confirmation. For every attack that rose against you, heaven is reversing the plan. For every betrayal, God is releasing vindication. For every delay, acceleration begins tonight. The Spirit says, before this month ends, you will witness what obedience births. But only if you don't skip this call. Do not click away. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. Because the moment you honor heaven's interruption, everything shifts. Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice. You heard his voice today. Now heaven waits to see your response. Type Amen if your heart confirms this. Type, I choose obedience. If you will not lose the presence again, let the angels record your words as covenant. Because what you write in faith echoes louder than what you speak in fear. Listen, there's a restoration wind coming. You'll notice peace replacing panic. Doors reopening without you forcing them. People who once left will reach out again, not for drama, but for destiny. God is orchestrating alignment. And Michael says, stand firm, don't chase, don't beg. Stay anchored, because the one who stands in light never loses, and heaven refuses to let you fall again. So take this as your divine reminder. If you skip this, you skip alignment. If you skip alignment, you skip destiny. And if you skip destiny, You lose both your defenders, Jesus and Michael, because you walked away from their voice. But if you stay, listen, and act, everything changes. Everything is restored. Everything blooms again. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are right on heaven's clock. And this 21st October is your turnaround date. Type "This is my day of alignment" if you believe that. Because heaven counts faith by action. Every comment of faith is a seed. Every share is evangelism. Everything is in agreement. Every subscription is a covenant connection with daily revelation. So before this message ends, take your step of alignment now. Like this video if this message spoke to your heart. And comment your angel number or your prayer request below. Subscribe for daily prophetic and angelic guidance. And share this message with someone who needs to hear it today. Heaven is watching your response. Archangel Michael is recording your faith. And Jesus is smiling, saying, "My child is awake again. You didn't lose heaven. You found it right here, right now." Stay in the light, beloved, because this message was meant for you. Archangel Michael says, "The reason this message found you again is because heaven noticed your spirit still trembling between surrender and hesitation. There are moments when the heart wants to believe, but the mind keeps replaying the disappointments of the past. You've been here before, the edge of breakthrough, the border of obedience, the place where faith feels fragile. Yet heaven wants you to know this is not a repeat. This is redemption. Every delay you endured was not denial, it was divine recalibration. The timing had to mature before the miracle could manifest. You see, child of light, sometimes heaven withholds what your impatience would mishandle. And Michael says God never denies your prayers. He only protects their timing. That's why what seemed like silence was actually a strategy. Every unanswered moment was training your soul to hear beyond words, to feel the quiet pulse of divine alignment. Heaven is saying, do not misinterpret waiting as abandonment. Because even in the waiting, angels were building what you could not see. You thought heaven forgot your name, but your name was being whispered in every prayer room of light. There were angels assigned to hold back storms you never knew were planned against you. Michael himself stood at the gates when the enemy tried to rewrite your destiny. You are still alive because heaven refused to sign that lie. Beloved soul, there's a reason you're feeling a stirring again. It's not anxiety, it's awakening. Something in your spirit knows this message is not just comfort, it's instruction. And this instruction carries urgency. Michael says you cannot delay obedience and expect accelerated miracles. Heaven moves at the speed of faith, not fear. Every act of obedience reopens the channels that doubt tried to close. God is saying, return to me before regret becomes your teacher. This is why the message said, you will lose both of us if you skip this. Because when you walk away from divine presence, you lose your compass and your covering. The presence of Jesus sustains your heart, and the defense of Michael guards your path. Lose one and you stumble, lose both and you wander. But even wandering hearts can find their way home if they respond before the door closes. The Spirit of the Lord whispers now, I am closer than your fear. Every tear you shed was noticed. Every question you buried still echoes in the throne room. And heaven is answering, not with explanations but with elevation. Because what you lost in clarity, you will recover in peace. What confusion took, revelation will restore. You are not being punished. You are being purified. Michael says, when fire surrounds you, it's not to consume you, but to clarify your strength. That is why this season feels heavy, because heaven is pulling out everything that weakens your faith. Relationships that drain you will fade. Situations that no longer carry your name will collapse. It will feel like loss, but it's divine liberation. You cannot rise while holding what heaven has already released. Listen closely, beloved. The 21st of October was written in your spiritual calendar before you were born. It carries a frequency of reset, a divine checkpoint for those willing to step into alignment. And God is saying, I am rewriting your timeline. The pain you carried through the months of delay is being turned into prophetic purpose. The same voice that called Lazarus out of the tomb is calling your destiny out of stagnation. You will rise again, not as the same person who fell, but as the vessel refined by revelation. Take a deep breath and let your spirit receive this. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect, only present, because presence unlocks participation. When you show up in faith, heaven shows off in favor. Type I am present in the comments to confirm it. Every time you declare that, angels record your willingness to stay aligned. Michael says, your words are contracts in the spiritual realm. So speak with faith, not frustration. Every I can't becomes a closed gate. Every God will becomes an open door. Choose wisely what language you allow to shape your day. There is a battle happening over your focus. That's why distractions increased the moment you started listening to prophetic words again. The enemy fears your awakening. He knows one aligned believer carries the authority to shift entire bloodlines. You are that believer. That's why you've been attacked in cycles. Same emotions, different faces. But this time you won't repeat the pattern, because heaven has equipped you with recognition. And recognition is revelation. What you can see, you can conquer. Jesus says, behold, I give you authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy. Luke 10:19. That authority is rising in you again, not to fight people, but to silence principalities that pretend to be problems. This is your hour of holy discernment. You will begin to see motives clearly, feel atmospheres before words are spoken, and sense divine instructions even in silence. That sensitivity is not burden. It's your angelic frequency activating. Beloved, you've been asking, Lord, how do I know you're with me? And heaven answers, you know because you're still hearing me. The presence you fear to lose is the very voice leading you now. Don't silence it through fear. Don't bury it under busyness. Your miracle lives in your ability to listen. Michael says, every time you listen with faith, heaven accelerates what hell tried to delay. So listen closely, because what I'm about to say carries the code to your next miracle. In the next 72 hours, you will see a sign that proves this message was from heaven. It might come through a dream, a sudden text, a repeating number, or a door reopening that once closed painfully. When it happens, don't dismiss it. Write it down. Thank heaven out loud, because gratitude is the magnet of confirmation. The moment you thank God for unseen blessings, they begin to materialize. The atmosphere of gratitude is where angels build. So type thank you heaven in the comments as your seal of faith. Do it not for visibility, but for victory. Heaven counts your participation as partnership. God says, I am not asking for your perfection, only your persistence. Because faith is not proven in a single yes. It's proven in consistent surrender. When you keep showing up, even tired, even uncertain, that's where divine favor flows. And the reason heaven speaks with such intensity today is because your consistency determines your continuation. You cannot carry a new assignment with an old attitude. You cannot manifest new glory with recycled fear. Michael says, heaven's warnings are heaven's protection in disguise. That's why this word feels both beautiful and heavy. It's love in its purest form. The kind that doesn't flatter but frees. the kind that doesn't pamper but prepares. Because what's coming next requires maturity. A new level of blessing always demands a new level of obedience. God is preparing to place you in rooms your name was once rejected in. He's aligning divine helpers, people who will speak your name in places you've never been. But before that, He must ensure your heart will not worship attention more than assignment. That's why He's pruning pride and purifying purpose. This message isn't punishment, it's preparation. And here's what heaven whispers now. In the next few days, opportunities will appear disguised as inconveniences. Do not dismiss them. A delayed email, a random conversation, a small door that doesn't look impressive. Inside it hides divine direction. The angels say, what looks ordinary will carry extraordinary results. Stay humble. Stay alert. Stay obedient. Beloved, this continuation is not the end. It's the ignition. Heaven is still speaking, still aligning, still calling your name across realms. And as you keep receiving each part, your atmosphere will begin to shift tangibly. Peace will replace panic. Confirmation will replace confusion. Faith will replace fatigue. So type I am ready for the next part if your heart feels that pull to continue. Because heaven reads readiness through response. And when you respond, the next wave of revelation opens like a scroll before your eyes. Archangel Michael says, many are watching this right now, not by accident, but by assignment. You were drawn here because your soul is standing between two choices, surrender or silence. The heavens have been knocking gently on your heart, and this is your confirmation. God will not let you walk away from your calling this time. You've been trying to understand why life feels heavy even when you pray. It's because your destiny has weight, and your obedience is the only key that can lift it. Type I choose obedience in the comments if your heart says yes. Each word of obedience typed in faith is like a trumpet that tells heaven, I'm ready to align. Listen. There are moments when heaven doesn't wait for perfect timing, it creates it. This moment right now is one of them. Michael says, what you decide in this season will echo for years. Don't trade divine alignment for temporary comfort. Don't let your breakthrough expire because of hesitation. Type I will not miss my moment if you refuse to let distraction win. God is watching how you respond in silence. Not how loud your worship sounds, but how quickly your heart obeys. Because real faith doesn't argue, it agrees. It says, Lord, I don't understand everything, but I trust your timing. Type I trust your timing. If that's your heart's prayer tonight, the Lord is saying, what you feared losing was never your loss. It was my protection. The people who walked away were carrying the weight that could have delayed your purpose. Let them go with peace, because what's leaving your life is making room for what's meant to stay. Heaven never subtracts without the intention to multiply. Michael says, when you stop chasing what's gone, what's ordained finds you faster. That's why this message comes with urgency, because heaven sees what's approaching. And what's approaching is restoration. Restoration of peace, restoration of purpose, restoration of relationships that align with your assignment. Type restoration is mine if you claim this by faith. Child of light, your story is about to shift from waiting to witnessing. You've cried in private, but you will celebrate in public. What broke you in secret will bless you in the open. Because your tears were not wasted, they were seeds of testimony. And every seed planted in pain grows faster under grace. God says, before this month ends, I will give you proof that I have not forgotten you. Expect signs. Expect divine numbers repeating. Expect sudden peace after long confusion. Those are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Type, I receive my confirmation if your spirit feels this word. Michael adds, when you write faith, heaven writes favor. That's why every comment of belief becomes a spiritual signature. You're not just typing words, you're activating promises. And each declaration you make in faith sends angels to work in places your eyes can't see. Beloved, remember this: heaven doesn't send warnings without wonder following after. So if you're hearing this, it means you're about to witness what heaven whispered long ago. Stay in alignment. Stay faithful. Stay watchful, because your destiny is not delayed, it's being delivered. Type "I am ready for my heavenly delivery" if this message touched your heart. Your comment is not just engagement, it's agreement. Your amen is the sound that opens your next miracle. Archangel Michael says, "You have prayed for signs," but heaven is asking for participation. The miracle you desire is not waiting on God, it's waiting on your agreement. When you type words of faith, you give heaven permission to perform. So right now, type "I agree with heaven" if your heart is open to receive. Beloved, this is not just a message, it's a spiritual rescue mission. The Lord saw you on the edge of giving up, whispering in your tears, "Maybe heaven forgot me." But God did not forget you. He paused the storm long enough for you to hear this. Jesus says, "I never left. I was silent so your spirit could learn to recognize my whisper." You've been in a season of pruning, not punishment. God was cutting away what couldn't go where you're going. The silence, the waiting, the separations, they all had a purpose. And heaven wants you to understand this truth. What feels like loss is actually divine positioning. Type "divine positioning" if your spirit receives that revelation. Michael says, stop asking why they left. Start thanking God that the wrong ones couldn't stay. You are entering a holy transition, the kind that separates who you were from who you're becoming. And it requires courage, because you cannot step into destiny while still defending dysfunction. This is your moment to rise, not to repeat. Beloved, when heaven says move, it means the ground beneath you is no longer blessed for staying still. If you feel restless, it's not confusion, it's calling. If you feel tired but can't quit, it's not weakness, it's warfare. Your spirit knows there's something more waiting on the other side of surrender. Type "I will not quit" if you're choosing faith over fatigue. God says, before you see the blessing, you must release the bitterness. There are hearts you've forgiven in words but not in truth. Let them go, because forgiveness is the gate that leads to favor. Holding on to pain keeps heaven's gifts in pause. The moment you release them, angels resume what they were sent to do. Type "I forgive and I release" to break the delay right now. Beloved, do you feel that stillness? That's heaven resetting your atmosphere. The weight you've carried is lifting. Peace is returning. Clarity is coming. You will sleep tonight without the war in your chest. Because when the word of God is received, confusion loses its permission. Michael says, every time you speak faith, darkness loses ground. So speak life even when you don't see results yet. Say, "My miracle is in motion." Say, "Heaven is not late." Say, "I am protected by divine timing." Type any of these declarations in the comments to anchor your agreement, because faith unspoken is faith unfinished. And your declaration is the bridge between revelation and manifestation. Jesus says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you." John 14:27. That's not poetic comfort, that's divine inheritance. Peace is the proof that heaven is near. When you stop forcing what's not flowing, peace will return like a river. When you stop chasing validation, peace will speak louder than approval. Child of light, heaven is saying, you've been faithful in the fire. Now prepare for favor in the flood. Something new is already forming. You'll see unexpected calls, divine alignments, and gentle signs that your next season has begun. But don't rush, stay rooted, because divine timing is unfolding perfectly. Type I am ready for my divine timing. If your heart knows, this message is confirmation. The angels are still watching. Your obedience is still speaking, and heaven is still writing your miracle story, line by line, comment by comment, act of faith by act of surrender. Archangel Michael says, heaven measures faith not by what you feel, but by what you declare when everything feels silent. This message is not just echoing in your ears. It's vibrating in your soul because your spirit recognizes truth. You've come too far to turn back now. Heaven says, the next door won't open by effort but by endurance. If you've been tired, heaven saw it. If you've been faithful, heaven recorded it. And now the Spirit says, hold your ground. The winds are shifting in your favor. Type the winds are shifting for me if your heart senses movement. Beloved, you are entering the divine exchange, where pain turns into power and warfare turns into worship. This is why life intensified right before you heard this message. Because breakthroughs always announce themselves through pressure. Michael says, when everything feels like it's falling apart, heaven is actually rearranging your path. So do not mourn what's moving, celebrate what's making room. Type I celebrate my shift. If you know something sacred is unfolding, listen, child of destiny. You've been asking heaven for confirmation about a decision. You've prayed, Lord, give me a sign if I'm meant to continue this path. This is that sign. The door that feels heavy is the one that holds your blessing. Push through the discomfort. Peace will meet you on the other side. God says you are not being punished. You are being positioned for promotion. Type positioned for promotion. If you receive that revelation, every time you choose faith over fear, angels record it as victory. And right now, Michael is standing in your atmosphere, commanding peace over your mind and fire over your destiny. He whispers, you are not alone. You never were. Heaven is fighting battles you didn't even know existed. The sickness that could have destroyed you, the betrayal that could have broken you, heaven intercepted both. You are still standing because grace refused to let you fall. God says, you are my evidence that prayer still works. The fact that you're still here proves that my mercy never failed you. So lift your head, not in pride but in praise. Because this season will end in public glory after private tears. Type my tears are turning to testimony if you feel that promise stirring inside. Beloved, the enemy tried to use disappointment to make you doubt God's timing. But delay is not denial. It's divine disguise. Every detour was protection. Every closed door was redirection. And now, every prayer you whispered in secret is aligning in sequence. Michael says, when heaven seems slow, it's because God is building something that will last forever. Child of purpose, heaven is calling you to respond now. Not tomorrow, not later. Because faith delayed is faith denied. Your obedience opens dimensions of blessing that waiting alone never will. Type I respond to heaven now if you're saying yes to your divine assignment. And as you do, the presence of God will begin to saturate your space. You'll feel a warmth, a stillness, a sudden peace. That's the confirmation that the angels have marked your response. Heaven says, the one who listens receives light, but the one who acts multiplies miracles. You are chosen to multiply miracles, so declare it boldly. I will not lose heaven's presence again. Comment it below. Share it with conviction. Let your voice echo in faith. For every time you declare your alignment, another chain breaks, another door opens, and another miracle begins. You are not at the end. You are at the edge of fulfillment. What God promised will come to pass, and no delay, no doubt, and no distraction can take it away from you now. Thy fulfillment is mine if you know this word is your confirmation.